Hi, my name is Jermaine Rowe. I wrote the book Music and Lyrics for the musical Children from the Blue Mountains. The Children from the Blue Mountain is a musical that's set in Jamaica, in the island of Jamaica, in the Blue Mountains of Jamaica. And it kind of tells the story of this young kid, Jack Mendora, who goes on a journey of trying to understand what is his purpose in the world as an artist. I started to write this story about 5, 6 years ago when I was going through the journey of trying to understand myself as an artist. And the first folkloric idea came from me hearing this Jamaican folkloric character, Jack Mendora, and he didn't have an origin story, and I wanted to go and define that. And in the journey of exploring that, as great writing does, it takes you from your ego of wanting to create a show for yourself and took me into the journey of really understanding so much more about where I came from, my culture, who I was, and the purpose behind the story. So it became a really personal journey as I was writing the work, that I was trying to answer and understand my purpose as a theater maker in the world, and was my voice valid in the space? And the show kind of takes you on the journey of you asking that question. Collaboration has been my best friend. So as I started to write it, a class in grad school, new musical development class, we every week had to present something, and I challenged myself in that class to every week present something new from the show, even if I didn't have anything that I knew exactly where it was going to fit in the work yet. So I just kind of started to first write music. Music came first in this process. I started to write a lot of songs. And then as the story started to come, I started to collaborate with different people. Jerome, who came on early in the process as my musical director and collaborator. I would sit with him at the piano and we just developed ideas. And then I started to look at the book and the story, and it became much more profound, as I said, when I moved away from writing a really good show into just me being honest and exploring myself where I was in my life, my friendships, my relationship with my mother, my relationship with being away from Jamaica and living internationally, my relationship with being an actor in the Broadway world, but wanting to see stories that connected to me more. And I started to just explore and write what I was experiencing in those spaces, and it became more theatrical. And I became a geek to the dramaturgy of writing and script writing and storytelling, and the gift of grad school gave me the space to go into process more than I was thinking of the end result. When you come on November 8th, what you're going to see is the context of the work that I'm creating. I wanted to be first honest with the fact that it takes a while to get a show from concept to fruition. And I could have tried my best to put up a work immediately, but what I wanted to, and I thought I would not have served the work, I realized I needed to contextualize the work more for an audience. So I wanted to invite the people who kept me inspired as an artist when I felt like, can I do this work? So it's going to be interviews with some of the most brilliant people that I knew, from journalist and theater maker to my financial advisor, who helped me to understand as an artist it was important for me to become educated financially. And I wanted to share that kind of learning curve. So artistic directors and friends in the industry that were able to have conversations as the last year and a half was happening, the conversation that we were having to keep each other accountable for the works that we were creating. I want to share the audience that perspective of what it's like to create work when the world is paused, what it's like to bring people into a space and still try to push an idea forward, although there was no immediate space of performing it. And a lot of this was filmed months before theaters opened back up, and we started to put it together slowly. And I wanted to take us into that understanding how people were still trying to collaborate and create work in a very physical way. There's the excerpt that I'm going to share with you in this festival, which is the Cost of the Dream section. And it was a section where I thought about where I was in the world with my family and how I was away. And the lyrics says, I was a boy who did everything he needed to follow his dream. What is the cost? It goes on to say it's not enough to have imagination. It's to have the strength to follow through all doubts of yourself or a recreation, to walk through your storm clouds, to stand in your rain, to look at the thunder and to still be willing to say your name, because it's really easy to forget where we come from. It's too easy to forget who we are. And those lyrics came from me trying to navigate myself in the world and being willing to challenge myself to say, it's not enough that you have this great idea. It's not enough that you write well. It's not enough to want to be alongside brilliant other artists. What's more important is that you get up every single day and you follow through. So those lyrics and that section for me, I know the word connects because there are days I walk down the street saying those lyrics to myself to keep myself motivated. Short-term plans, I suppose. I just want to see it up. There's a part of me that just wants to see it on stage or in a space where it's outside of my head, where I have an ensemble together performing it and feeling the energy of the show come alive. And that's what I wanted to do last year when right before COVID happened, where we're in the process of doing a workshop. I really just wanted to see, can I invite an audience in folkloric Jamaica and they get it, and I represent the authenticity of the experience I want to share. Long-term goal, that shifted for me in the last year and a half in reflection. When the world was paused and theater was not as accessible and people were watching a lot of streaming things, one of the things I realized, there wasn't enough Afro-Caribbean work available to stream or to see, and I realized that there was a gap in that space. I suppose long-term goal is to have a catalog of my work or works from the diaspora that is available to all, not just the people who are able to pay tickets to go inside the theater spaces, but the world has opened up in terms of accessibility of streaming and video, and theater in itself does not have to be experienced solely by walking in a physical theater space, but that the world has access to every kind of theatrical expression that are validly coming from truth and storytelling. What's funny is a year and a half ago when the work was supposed to be explored at LPAC, the only thing that's kind of changed is me going into the format in which I would put it out, which is I was being diligent to what I thought was this is the channel through which you create work and it gets visible. And I became much more open in saying, no, I can go other directions. I can create other spaces to have the work done. The content of the work itself didn't change, and I think I was really excited by that, because what was interesting was I was writing this show set in the middle of a storm, or middle of a hurricane, and a character goes on a journey to understand what's the chaos in this moment and how can I have stories. There's another lyric that says, stories are great, they take you on journey, but right now we need to go further than a story on paper can do. And those lyrics hit me in a much more, I suppose, divine way as we were leaning through the last year and a half. Right now we have to go further.